All right, so typically when given a rotation, you rotate a point or a figure around the origin. That's typical. You're moving it around the origin. Okay, but when you're asked to rotate about a point that is not the origin or other than the origin, it is a little tricky. Okay, so there are 6 steps that I'm going to give you that works to make this happen every time. So we're going to use the example of rotating the point 2, 4, 90 degrees around the point -1, 2. Right? So the very first thing that you need to do is you need to determine the point that you're rotating around. And you want to label it with the letter B. Okay, so B, in our case, which point are we going around? We're not going around 2, 4, that's what we're moving. We're going around -1, 2. So -1, 2. We've labeled B. This is my new center of rotation. Okay, that is what I am rotating around. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to determine the point that we are rotating. All right, so determine the point that you are rotating. Okay, we're going to label it A. All right, this is the one that moves. So in our example, we're rotating the point 2, 4 around the point -1, 2. So A is going to be the point 2, 4. It's the one we're moving. Okay, so that is our rotating point. All right, so that's step 1 and 2. All we're doing first is taking the 2 points from the problem and labeling which one is my center of rotation and which one is the one that's rotating. So the next thing we need to do is determine the distance between B and the origin. All right, so I'm going to take B, and that's the point -1, 2, and under it I'm going to write the origin, 0, 0. So what did I do to get from -1 to 0? Well, I added 1. And what did I do to get from 2 to 0? I would have to subtract 2 to get from 2 to 0. Those are my distances, all right? Those are the 2 distances right there. Okay, so those 2 things, that +1 and the -2, so +1 on my x's and -2 on my y's, that's what's important, all right? So what we're going to do for step 4 is we're going to apply that distance to point A. So we're going to apply that distance to point A. All right, so that distance from step 3 needs to be applied to point A. So how we do that is we're going to write point A, and point A is the point 2, 4, and I'm going to add 1, and I'm going to subtract 2 to get a new point. So this becomes the point 3, 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, 4 minus 2 is 2. So it becomes the point 3, 2. Okay? After that, we're going to rotate our point like normal. So we're going to rotate the point just like you would, so as you would around the origin. Okay, so the point 32, right, we're going to take that, our new point, so that's our A prime, is our first move, the point 32, and we want to rotate it 90 degrees, so we go back and look and see what that means to rotate it 90 degrees, and that means it's going to become negative y, x. So we're going to move the 2 over to the x spot and make it negative, and we're going to move the 3 over to the y spot. Okay, we have one more step. Now we need to undo that move that we did with the distance. So we have to undo these distances. So we're going to take the rotated point and shift it back. All right, so that means the opposite of what you did in step 4. All right, so we're going to take our rotated point, our -2, 3, and earlier I added 1, so I'm going to undo that addition and we're going to subtract 1. So that becomes -3. And I subtracted 2, so now I'm going to add 2. So 3 plus 2 becomes 5. And my new point is -3, 5. Okay, so that is how to do it.